Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Rugby Chats with Angus. And today, I have another special guest in his house. Welcome to Muammir Salie. Muammir, welcome.
Hi, Azad Angus. Thanks for having me, man.
I just want to have a quick, brief overview of your whole career. You've been involved with the Sharks, UWC, Western Province, and played a bit of club rugby as well. I think recently for Durban. So not Durban, but for Tigerberg, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So where did your love for rugby start?
To be honest, I actually started playing soccer first. Believe it or not, I started playing soccer for a team called Westridge United. Um, I was always the biggest guy in the team. And then I think one day we were sitting at my grandmother's house, and my father came up to me and said, "Why don't you try a different sport?" And I asked him, what sport should I try? And he said,
Mm,
"Why don't you try rugby?" At first, I was very, very nervous and touch and go because I've never, I've always passed ball outside with my dad's brothers and
mm.
with the kids in the road, but I never actually played the sport. So I think it took off when I was 9 years old. He said he has a club I wanted to join, Collegians, which I joined recently. I joined this year again after 10 years. So
Wow.
um so yeah, it started out at 9 years old, and I started playing in the same year that he asked me to play, and it just took off from there.
No, lekker man. And you went to Port Louis High, and as far as I know, it has produced the most Springboks. And in your
That's
school
correct.
career,
That's correct.
you have played with some amazing guys. I can think of, let's say, Edel van der Merwe, Nico Leonard, and even the Springboks, Damien Willems and Ursula Yankees. What are your fondest
Yes.
memories of playing with those players as well as for Port Louis during your school career?
I think my fondest memories with him was in my first year that I played first team, which was in 2014. You always look up to guys like Herschel and Edwell and the Rikus Botmas and the Andre Pollards, or the guys who played for other schools, those top tier guys.
Mm.
And for me, making my debut in 2014 was something special because it took everything out of me to make that team. So it was just, I can just say it was special to play with those guys, and I was privileged enough to share the field with legends, to say the least.
Port Louis legends, eh?
For
Um,
definitely, definitely.
and not only did you play with great players like I just mentioned as a schoolboy, but you've also interacted with some high profile players actually. Some of them are Alex Fiedau and the current Hurricane sensation, Peter Manga Jensen, on a school tour in
Yes,
2015. So how did
yes.
you find that experience playing against, not those guys per se, but against New Zealand teams, school teams, as well as what have you learned from them from a cultural point of view?
So in 2015, I played my second year first team. We were privileged enough to go to Singapore and then Japan. I think we were 2 or 3 days in Singapore, and then that was like the holiday part of the trip. And then it
Yes.
was all business in Japan. We played in the Sanix World Schools Festival in 2015. Um, it was just, we were so serious and, doing what we need to do and, make sure we want to play in the final. But we took it like step for step, group stages, semifinals, quarterfinals, and final. Um, when I initially, when we were finished training, we usually bonded with the other teams around us, right? So we were all basically we were usually in the farm side of Japan, like the countryside, to say, yeah, like the
Okay. Yeah.
countryside. And those guys, we were lucky, those guys stayed in the opposite dorms from us. And as we walked every morning to breakfast and to supper and to lunch, you interact with those guys. And then for us, it was just so amazing to interact with someone who's from New Zealand, because this was the first time most of us from Paul Ross were overseas as well. So the likes of Alex Vida, you woke up to a guy, like the guy was massive, you know. I didn't know who he was at the time, and then he explained to me, he was playing for the Hurricanes under 18. He was playing for New Zealand schools under 18. Uh, Peter Umaga Jensen and Thomas Umaga Jensen, they're twins. So to interact with those guys was just something special. What I did learn from them was, I asked them, your tattoos on your body, does it mean anything? And they explained to me that each tattoo and each line of the tattoo represents a part of their life from when they grew up to where they are now. So it was not just a tattoo that they're receiving, it's actually their life story that they're telling on their body. So that was really cool to witness from them.
That's pretty amazing, actually. And I think you said to me once before, you actually get so mad at people who just get Maori tattoos for the sake of it, eh?
Nah, you know we got our own little Wellington over the mountain, and people think that you can just get tattoos for the fun of it. I mean, those are literally their life stories and what heritage they come from. Some of them are not from New Zealand, actually. Some of them from Tonga, Fiji,
The
the
islands.
islands that produce the
Yeah.
good All Blacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
The academy, for so to say, you know.
yes, like Eddie Jones said, is the academy. So yeah, they just had their tattoos. Everything that they do has a meaning. So that was really cool to learn from the New Zealand culture from that
That's
point
also
of
good
view.
to know on my side as well, because I didn't know all that. You
Um,
also have been a Western Province player since under 13, and you have a very remarkable personal record. Would you like telling me more about that?
it actually started. I started playing for or representing Western Province when I was 12. I started at the Coastal Tournament in East London, 2009, and then the following year I played Craven Week. We won that Craven Week down in Vergraaf Net. I remember playing against the Bulls in the final.
Always special?
Always special. North South Derby is always special. Yeah, we beat the Bulls, and then that is where I got the bursary to attend Paul Roos. And I just took off from there. I was in the under 15 elite squad also. Uh, Played final trials in the till under 16 Grand Como, didn't make it. And then I played the following year Academy Week in 2014, and in 2015 I played Academy Week again. And in all those years, I've never lost in a Western Province jersey. So
Wow.
I think that's a pretty special record to hold for myself personally.
Well, I don't think many guys can say that, you know. I mean, some guys made their debut in that jersey and they only played once and lost. So
Well,
you
yeah,
can imagine how
I
good
was
that is. So you've
I was
been around the
I
block
was
for
I
so
was
long.
I was fortunate enough to play with some good players to allow me to actually say something like that. But overall, I just think I had a good experience with Western Province in terms of when I actually played for the Union.
Mm.
So it was really, really special for me and my
Well,
family as well.
I can imagine, eh? I know your dad was quite an avid Western Province man himself, so I can imagine how good it
Yes,
was.
he was. Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
You did later on in your career moved on to Durban to join the Sharks Academy. And you've been involved with the Western Province side for so long. What has prompted this move to actually go to the other coastal side, further out the country?
You know what, Angus? That is a bit of a personal question, but I'm gonna answer it with the best of my ability. I think Western Province has groomed me. Listen, has groomed me to become a shark. If if that makes sense. In a sense where I I thought throughout my high school career I was going to play for Western Province under 19.
Sorry about that.
Wait,
Someone just called me on my phone. The question is in front of
that's
me.
fine.
Anyway, yeah.
Um, yeah, like I said, I've represented the province since under 12. I've been in the system for a good couple of years. I thought with the hard work that I put in, with the sacrifices that I made, I thought in my mind, I thought I was good enough to play at that level because I've been representing the province throughout the system. They've
Mm.
been grooming me since I was 12. And then I come to the year that I'm actually supposed to go to a Western Province Academy here in Stellenbosch or go to or get a contract to play for after school. I don't get it, and I get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it was a tough. It was very very hard for me. I think it broke me a little bit in a sense where um, because I genuinely thought I was going to play for Western Province throughout my ranks because that is what I've always wanted.
Mm.
And unfortunately, it didn't happen for me. And then I had to go up country to go start somewhere else. No one knew who I was, and I think it did me good as firstly as a person, And it developed me a lot as a player to actually sit with yourself and work with yourself away from everybody who knew you. And then I had to go make it work somewhere else, which I did.
Well, you know, there's an old saying that they say, I've read it a few times on social media as well. They say that if you want to make it, move out of your hometown. So maybe it was the case for
Definitely.
you, you know?
That was definitely the case for me,
Mm.
100%.
And you did later on come back though, not for Western Province per se, but you joined UWC. And the
Yes.
university itself came up short a few times before eventually being promoted into the Varsity Cup after winning the Varsity Shield competition in 2018, which you were a part of.
Yes.
How did you guys approach under Chester Williams that whole season
Yes.
or that whole tenure to make sure that you get promotion into the Varsity Cup season or into the Varsity Cup competition for that matter?
Yeah, like you said, UWC fell short. They were a very young team. They fell
Mm.
short a good couple of years in a row. I think they still played promotion relegation against UCT 1 year on Tani Craven as well. I don't know if you remember that. They
I
played
do actually.
promotion relegation, and then they lost that game. Um, but in all fairness, I think the group of senior players that came throughout the ranks into 2018 helped that team a lot. And just for us as new players there, we were quite a few new guys that came into the system that Chester in place. It was just, for me, they made it much easier because there were some Paul Roos guys that were there. There were some Paul Jim guys that were there. There was a lot of guys that I played with throughout my high school career. Made it much easier for me to be comfortable in that setup because I didn't know anybody at UWC besides those guys.
Mm.
So Chester and Coach Bola and Coach Lionel had a very good system in place, and we stuck to the system and we set ourselves goals. And fortunately for us, the season went well. Cup season went well for us.
Yeah, we did go very well. I saw a photograph after the final. You were right in front of there with the celebrations. I
Yeah,
was like, look
I
at this
made
guy.
sure I was right in. I made sure I was right in front there with the trophy, man.
Normally the backs are in front, you know. No, I normally don't
Yeah,
see forwards
no,
in front of photographs. So
yeah.
I was a bit
The
surprised
the
actually.
the airy fairies are in front, man. So I had to make sure I'm usually in every rugby team the shortest guy there. So I had to make sure I was in front so they can actually see me lifting the trophy with Aiden. You see, the captain of UWC at the time, Aiden Cupido, was my fly off in 2014.
Hmm. So you
So it
came back a
helped me a
long
lot.
way.
Yeah, myself and Aiden, and
Hmm.
there was a few other guys that we played with in 2014 as well. So it was really special to play with him again. Nice, actually.
Ah, great man, great. Um, Now we've spoke about your career briefly. Just gave a quick, you can say, reflection back on your time. You know, in the short career you had up until 23 years old. And things. This might be a bit personal, but things might have not necessarily worked out for you the way you have planned. And
Mm,
I'm sure the Varsity Cup, you must have seen it after coming back from Durban as some sort of redemption to maybe get back into the pro system again or to a union again. Where would you say, if not too
yes.
personal, did things maybe go wrong for you?
Look, the after playing under 19 Currie Cup in 2016, um, I was obviously as a youngster, you're confident. I'm still young, but at the time you're 19 years old and you leave a union, you want to make sure you actually make it at another union. So that was the goal. And then, you were in a preseason with the Sharks under 21. You were in a senior Currie Cup setup training with those guys. I mean, I was privileged enough to share the field with the Beast and the Dupree twins, and at the time, JP Peterson and Patrick Lambie, and those are the guys you interact with every day. I mean, even though you're holding a tackle bag against them, you're still on the same field as them. I
Mm.
mean, you not even you can say you get a pass from Pat Lambie or Kobus Reinach or someone. You know what I mean? Or
Exactly.
yeah, it was crazy as a 19 year old. And then, I played for a club, College Rovers in Durban, who helped me extremely. They helped me a lot. They actually even gave us the Rovers, they even provided food for us.
Oh,
So it was really nice. And then I was in the Gold Cup squad as well in 2016. I sat on the bench for 80 minutes, but I was in that squad. I was in that team. I was there with them. I trained every single day with them. And then I think the turning point for me is, it sounds really cliche to say, was one night on training. It was a captain's run before our it was a derby final in the Murray Cup.
Mm.
It was the Monday, the Wednesday we were playing. And then I tore all my ligaments in my ankle. Like I said, it does sound really cliche to say, you got an injury and you didn't make it.
Yeah.
But this is generally what happened. I was playing under 20, and then I tore my ligaments and I was out for a couple of months. And then in all that time, between that time period, was the turning point for me. Because then I had to make a decision. It's either you stay and start all over here, or you can start somewhere new at UWC. So before I actually came to UWC, I was recovering for about 8 months, including rehab, to actually come back and play. So that for me, I think that was the turning point. And then obviously, the UWC thing happened, and then from there onwards, afterwards, we played club rugby in the Super League A here in Cape Town. And then I was in the under 21 setup, 2007, 2018. I was in the under 21 setup, which I really enjoyed, because I was with all my friends again from high school. And unfortunately, I didn't play a game. I was training, worked really hard. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out like that. And then I decided to go play for Tigerberg. And then this year now, 2020, I went back to where it all started, to find, wouldn't say the love for it again, but to find the enjoyment. Not that I didn't enjoy my previous clubs and whatever, just to find the enjoyment back at home, where it all started.
Sometimes the best remedy, I would say, as well. Just to get, like you said, not per se the love. You always had the love for it, but not think about competitiveness. I know you are competitive, but not think about making it the union and stuff. Everything will fall into place eventually if you believe it.
Yes.
Yes. And I wanna touch on this as well. You've been through quite a bit in your short career so far. Would you say there should be a clearer plan? Like you mentioned at the start of the interview, Western Province groomed you for the Sharks, like you said, and I was taken aback by you saying that. But would you say that there should be a clearer plan or pathway for players to set up by unions, so the players know what's expected of them and how they will get through the ranks, so there's no sense of false hope created for them?
Look, I think false hope is created everywhere, right? In the sense where I'll give you a perfect example. So if you have a pedigree like a Paul Roos or a Paul Jim or a Paul Boys or a Weinberg Boys or a Sachs or a Bishops, you are definitely going to be better off than a guy coming from Lentegeur, Mitchell's Plain, who's played 2 months trials in advance before he actually gets to where we actually play. Do you understand? And I think it starts with the grassroots. It starts with your parents actually backing you, right? It starts where a player coming from, don't get me wrong, you need to understand what I'm saying now.
No, I'm listening, yeah.
A player that comes from nothing, right, has to work 200 times harder than a guy who was at a Paul Roos or Paul Jim or Paul Boys. That is just how the system has been working for all these years. That is how it's been working. I mean, I played trials in my whole high school career, and then I asked a random guy next to me who comes from Mitchell's Plain or that type of area, or Kayalicha even. I remember a good guy who actually is playing for the Bulls now, Xoliso Guma.
Oh, yes, the winger.
The winger, yes.
Yeah.
Myself and him played trials together, and I asked him, how long have you been coming to trials? And he says he's been at trials for already 6 weeks, and I'm only coming to my first trial. Do you understand? So he's been playing every Wednesday or every Thursday for 6 weeks, and I come a week in advance. Yeah. A week. Do you understand?
I get what you're saying here, definitely. And it's still quite sad, we have the the VUCA program that you probably know of as well, and it's a good thing because they
Yes,
are
yes,
tackling grassroots and stuff. But there needs to
yes.
be so much more done, and it's been a conversation we've had for many years that if you don't go to an elite rugby school, you probably won't make it. I mean, I'm not going to mention
The
any names,
chances
but
of you, yeah, the
yeah,
chances of
chances
you
are
making,
a lot smaller. Yeah.
no, much less,
Much
much
less, yeah.
less.
Like I'm not gonna mention names, but you have good mates obviously who has been to Port Louis, on bursaries or stuff like that, and they made it to
Yes.
provincial teams. They made it to Springbok colors. But would it ever have happened for them if they went to a normal? If I say normal, I mean a non-rugby school where the sport isn't taken too seriously, where there isn't the right equipment,
Mm,
resources, coaching. I mean, I think that's still a problem we have in South Africa where we don't have that sort of level playing field, and we
mm,
lose so much talent because of that. I mean, like for the Eastern Cape, for instance, there's always spoken about this wealthy pool of talent. And we see this at the Sharks. I mean, we have the guys like Lucanio and Nsubun Kosi,
Pimpy.
Mapimpi's there. We see them coming through now and they all have amazing stories to tell. But it shouldn't have been so tough for those guys. Same with Sia as well. So if there's just a level playing field where you can go to any school, and this is not because of South African Rugby Union. Yes, they do have to do something about it, but we come back to our government. And I don't want to talk politics, but if they want effective transformation, they also need to chip in a bit and make sure that every school, or at least most schools in the country, has the resources for these things to happen.
That's
Because at the end
correct.
of the day, our talent pool will be so much bigger. And like, this morning, not this morning, but like this afternoon, I'm getting off topic here, but this is now just a general discussion.
Yeah. Yes,
I
yes,
think
yes.
I still spoke to you on WhatsApp. I actually went on YouTube to catch the highlights of this morning Super Rugby match of, I think it was the Rebels and the Brumbies. And
Yes.
funny enough, that previews you get on YouTube with the rugby videos that they show you that you haven't seen before, but more in your category.
Yes.
So there was a match
Yes.
on. I think it was Grey Bloom up against Crush's Boys High. And I think they
Yes.
smashed him something like 60 odd something 19. I mean, Crush's Boys
Yes.
High is basically the Cheetahs against the Crusaders. If you go fast forward a few
Yes.
years with those players.
Yes. Yes.
And
100%.
yeah, I remember Derek Albert's tweeting that some of the New Zealand school coaches said that how is the Springboks not the best team in the world? If this is not before the World Cup was. Because to him it
Yes. Yes. I
was,
remember this chat.
yeah, he said it was perfection on the rugby field because he said the talent that he saw here was absolutely amazing. Now, that's just in our top schools. What other talent are there in the non-rugby schools? It's always a question, I
Mm.
guess, and I hope we'll have to answer to soon in the future, where the level field does
Yeah.
get a bit more even for other players and so forth as well. But in any case, we're getting very much off topic now. I just want to ask you this last question before we say goodbye and wrap this up. If you would have any advice for a player signing his first contract at the union, what would you say to
There's a lot I would say. Um,
them?
but yeah, besides reading the fine print, and I think it's, I think it's, he needs to understand that his talent is only going to bring him that far, right?
Mm,
And he needs to understand that the the union that he's going to, is he going to get enough playing time? Is he going to achieve his goals? Is he going to reach certain heights? And I think also, I don't think once parents would actually teach your child wrong, or tell you, or lead your child into the wrong direction or anything. So my advice is, listen to your parents. They won't give you bad advice, and know what you're going for. If you're not going to enjoy it, you must leave it. That's it.
that's a very
That's it.
good piece of advice there. It's something that I hope the kids who's watching this will take to heart. Because
Yeah.
I know that and I probably think you would be one of those people as well. Not you per se, but you would get what I'm saying in saying that you see this, oh, I'm selected for under 13, under 16 Craven Week, your eyes lit up, you see stars, you see the whole world, you see yourself already playing it 4 years in
Yes.
the World Cup final, although you're just a schoolboy for now. And
Yes. Yes.
the
Yes.
reality is you have so much to go through, and not just going through the ranks, but there's stuff like disappointment of not being selected, injuries that could hold you back, that could even cost your career. There's so much that these kids aren't prepared for, and they need to be prepared for this because it's not always all shine and the high life, because there's a lot of extras that come with it and they don't always realize it.
Yeah, just touching before we go, just touching on that, where you say it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Um, there's a certain player that comes to mind. I won't mention his name. He was my roommate on high school. I says I remember sleeping in that hostel, and I remember that light used to go on just before 5 every single day, and he had no life but rugby. He didn't care about anything else. He literally slept in the gym, was on the field early, left last, and that guy is currently doesn't have anything. And I'm talking about this is a if you I don't want to mention his name, but this is a guy who dedicated his life to the game, who sacrificed everything, and is sitting with nothing at the moment, and he's struggling to get back onto where he was, like
Wants to be,
back onto a level, yeah, where he wants to be. So the disappointments and the heartbreaks are going to come. It's just how you're going to react and keep moving forward. That's it. Because you can sacrifice everything and it can break you, or it can make you a better player and a better person, most importantly.
That's very good advice. Well, Muammir, it has been a pleasure to talk to you. I wish we had more time, but Zoom, the normal version isn't as great. I need to make a
Yeah.
bit more money to get to the premium version, so we're
Yes,
gonna have to
yes,
cut this one
definitely.
short. But it has been very good talking to you, to get to know your whole playing career. And I hope from my side you do get in with the union again, and I hope there's some promise, man. Come on, leave the Sharks to work on my nerves. So
I'll think. I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
no, I'm just joking, man. Even if you play for the Bulls, it's fine as long as you get a pro contract
Ah.
somewhere. But you know what? All the best, my man. I hope you will get it right sometime soon, and you must keep well. And yeah, I'll chat to you soon again. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers.